Our first guest today is Peter Bushyeager. His poetry has recently appeared in New American Writing, Sensitive Skin, Local Knowledge, Café Review, the ever fantastic Live Mag, Boog Reader 2, and the anthology From Somewhere to Nowhere. His poetry collections include In the Green Oval and Citadel Luncheonette.
Someone hasn't muted themselves.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep, yeah, please keep yourself muted. Amy keeps unmuting herself for some reason. I'm trying to, George is, what a mess. What a god-awful mess. Amy keeps unmuting herself. I keep muting her and she keeps turning it. Stop it, Amy. Just stop it. Bad Amy. All right. Anyway, technology, isn't it wonderful? Where was I? Peter Bushyeager, the man, the myth, the legend. Here he is.
Okay, who's the bad person who isn't muted?
I'll be the mute fascist Mussolini and go around and muting people as much as I can. But yeah, all right, you're on, man. Go for it.
First of all, I'd like to thank Bernard for inviting me to read, and thank him for having Sensitive Skin for writers as a venue. I think it's great. Back in February, my wife and I flew back from northern Italy into New York City. And almost right away, all of a sudden, Italy became an epicenter for the COVID-19 epidemic. And then we realized, oh my God, we flew from one epicenter into another. So now, like everybody else, we're in lockdown. We're experiencing weird shortages. We're wearing masks. So I'm going to read from a few poems from a sequence about that experience, and then I'll move on to a couple of other things. Particles. Grazed my bare wrist sliver between shirt cuff and latex glove on the looming brass doorknob. Then sanitized my wrist, then grazed it on the fresh bed sheet at bedtime. The sanitized wrist's uneasy history of residue kept me up at night. Raucous bird calls echoed off the brick walls. I'm past memory. No memory of the raucous I knew when rules were easy, but easy goes quick. And this raucous has guidance stretched for demands of the circumstance. Consider me, consider you, consider the space between and other particles, invisible but raucous. Stay home. Pick white specks off black fleece. Something to do. So begin again and turn out the lights. Make a home for ghosts. Our dialect is in flux. Embrace handicrafts, something to do. A backroom mantra, magic like pills from tears off the face of a statue that melt in the mouth and ease things for spring. Yellow flowers first, then purple, with the faithful always in motion with something to do. Firenze, Florence. Too many halos, those metal discs attached by wires to placid statue heads, forced you to the curb of this Renaissance town, wishing for a slip of the tongue in the fresco orgy. No more ancient, elaborately tooled leather tomes on the dangerous work of men with personal vision. Now birds sing info to their eggs. Bush mammals chew the right leaves and then move on. And it's okay now. It's so rich you forget to sleep and forget about lolling on weathered docks with salt-rimmed drinks at sunset, squinting for the elusive green glow. Sun does it quiet now, and you're at the epicenter in a rented suite. Be careful, street is wet and it's sweaty by the exit. Chartreuse lizard. I want to mention eggs because I've thought about them several times over the past 7 days. I've eaten them, coveted them when I thought they were rare, hoarded them, and by myself in the kitchen, balanced one upright on the stovetop, admiring its smooth packaging and the detailed information it contains. I'll mention an asymmetrical couch upholstered with a shiny, slippery chartreuse polyester fabric called Lizard, because I want to sketch the rough outlines of an off-kilter room conjured from an eccentric list of preordained words. It's too late to talk about halos. I mentioned them last week, and it was disruptive to divulge how they're created with gold leaf semicircles on gesso or solid metal discs attached by wires to statues. Who wants to pull back the curtains, stir up the dust, and disappoint? And I don't want to talk about the streets I haven't walked in days, empty streets with mallards and brants taking over the sidewalks and coyotes nuzzling and peeing against the unpainted particle board that's protecting high-end shops' plate glass windows. I'll talk about the mail and how it's still arriving because we're in a part of town with the right zip code. And I'll talk about the plastic 4-inch dancing Queen Elizabeth powered by a solar cell, carrying a very white purse and dressed in purple, the color she wore when my daughter saw her cruise past a London Taco Bell in her limo with untinted windows. Elizabeth makes a steady click like a metronome on the windowsill when the light is right and keeps me on track when I work at my desk. And I'll mention opera, which washes over us after dinner, separates our heavy metals from our suspended lightweight silt, and leaves us wading through a clear rill with those arias in our hearts, overstuffed and necessary like our cabinet drawers, jammed with hard-to-get household staples, but still possible to open with dedicated effort. And I'll talk about breakfast, with the morning birds' light trilling, triggered by the sun, and then lunch, an uproar among daytime breeders, and our late dinners with the frantic chattering, and in the pockets of quiet, something flute-like. Bots at War for My Soul, New York Times, December 15th, 2016. Bots, 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 bots at war for my soul, legions of bots, battles programmed for fast draw contests, no feelings to hurt, no reputations to uphold. Bots of conviction, jockey for position, build morale among humans, help topics trend, produce interactions that feel grounded in revealing truths, lend an air of grassroots momentum, provocate through minstrel accounts that impersonate minorities, then mock and spew. Predatory bots on feeling gaze, honeypot bots that distract trolls and goad them to fight with unthinking machines, comfort bots to remind me I'm only human. Take time to look outside. Make sure you drink enough water. Rant. What did I come in here for? Post-its. Post-its to mark the incoherent text I discovered on pages 79 and 80, while craving cheese, not just tuna, and committed to completing the sentence, I like to be entered by. Pandering music that refreshes. The front door, thank you. Light, like a small glass of water. Almost listening to music on a loop. Misleading solo cello that stretches out into the room like heavy embroidered drapes, dismantled and splayed on the floor. Then a cappella liturgy voices, preternaturally high, wandering in an electronically enhanced space, leaping over each other before completing melody lines. So it's like a ladder on shaky ground that's somehow edifying. But the music was disrupted by hunger for the German pâté in the refrigerator, washed down with that small glass of water and the light. Then pictures by Bruegel remind me that I gather, prepare, disperse, walk through empty lots looking down for berries, and sometimes dance jigs to forget my body, an orb rippling within its own watery space. And the last poem is called Woods. Speaking inside a dense, flowering shrub, barely strolled this landscape, rewriting a book that had no birds in it, noting the time of the gash, searching the landscape for scary herbs philosophers have learned to touch. Inside the shrub, balanced on forked branches, my oratory at one with resurgent birds and the great hazy at the edge of what comes directly from dirt. In these woods, nightbugs bite, drinking glasses go dark, then it's dropped to sleep out in weather where clothes absorb the shock, black sky splattered with white pins, creatures backstroke the personal lake, no tips to trick unruly animals. Drop to sleep like babies, carry us like babies, sure as cane sugar forms crystals in the blood. Thanks.
All right, Peter Bushyeager. And you may now unmute yourselves if you want to and say, yay.
Peter!
Woo! Yeah.
Peter.
All right. Yay, Peter.
Yay!
Woo!
We love you.
Great!
Bravo.
Bravo.
All right. All right.
All right.
Let's see. Here I am. All right. I'm going to meet you all again. Thank you. All right. Our next reader is Patricia Carragon, and her latest books from Poets Wear Prada are Meowku and the Cupcake Chronicles, and Innocence from Finishing Line Press. Ms. Carragon hosts Brownstone Poets and is the editor-in-chief of its annual anthology and is an executive editor for Home Planet News Online. And I'm trying to find her here. Here she is. She lives in Brooklyn. And she is now unmuted.
Yay.
Take it away, Patricia Carragon.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Bernard. Thank you for having me here. I'm going to read from my manuscript, Stranger on the Shore. The first one is Paris the Beautiful. I want to thank George Wallace for selecting as Poem of the Week for Great Weather for Media. Thank you, George. Paris the Beautiful. On a rainy night, Jazz drives a taxi, makes conversation in the NYC glare. Raindrops seduce, windshield, metronomes fondle. A CD track plays, Paris the Beautiful. Gigi Grice's sax mourns for the city of light. His rhythm has grit, a New York accent, sweet and light, moody and remorseful, yearns for the intangible, wishes upon a dying star. Skyscrapers see but can't reach out. Life's programmed for extremes. With jazz, a shitty affair's beautified, and sadness and addiction support the craft. Jazz cruises past the lights on Broadway, hums along with the rain. Feral sophistication runs in my arteries. The streets give free lessons. Jazz reaches my destination. Guesswork pays my fare. The storm outside, no different than the one within. The rain understands me more than myself. Almost Blue, inspired from Chet Baker. My mood grows quiet, jazzy, almost blue. Unlike robin's eggs, nighttime, or the Adriatic Sea. Closer to the wild Baptisia australis, or Aegina's doorway. Non-existent in the Crayola box, or on a Pantone chart. Almost blue, only I can see, hear, or feel. My color has a face, a voice, a trumpet's grief, a heartbeat, slow and broken, and eyes, ears, and hands articulate more than words. This next one was published in Poetry Bay. Thank you, George. All I could do was cry. As stories crossed the screen, Etta James sang, all I could do was cry. Chapter after chapter, I would lose him again, and he would lose his lovers. Some said goodbye, others perished, either by accident, childbirth, or assault. Each woman different and similar. Each woman had him, each woman stood in for me. Paragraph after paragraph, he lived on. Revenge was telling me, have him die, save his exit for the end. But like Etta, I still loved him. Unlike the song, Absolution found love in loss. Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered, inspired by Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong. Behind a newspaper, a fat man in a trench coat camouflaged his peccadillo for a pretty damsel to take a peek. Neither bewitched by his slab of meat, she ignored it. Mama told her to keep her mouth shut, hold on to the pole until the doors open at 77 and Lex. Men weren't the new sensations, but after a few beers, the fine symmetry hidden in Joey's trousers beguiled her. Being oversexed had its drawbacks. Too many pints covered up his flaws, and the morning after gave her a headache. The right and left sides of her bed looked tired. The wild night left alone on disheveled sheets. At work, she watched his eyes travel up skirts. It bothered her, but men were boys in snazzy suits. Genitals ruled the nature of the male beast. The lion couldn't roar without constant practice in broken trust. Over the past few days, her sleep cycle changed. Thoughts about her pal Joey and the next few years. Booze had its limitations, a temporary solution for her bewildered life. He lost his job by the HP printer, hormones on overtime with the boss's secretary. He couldn't pay his rent and demanded to stay for a night or two. His attitude, less than charming. She refused, slammed the door in his face. Her body and heart, antiseptic from wisdom, learned from mistakes. She poured a glass of brandy, asked Alexa to dim the lights, play a show tune to end the night. The Ballad of Lucy Jordan. Thank you, Jeff, for publishing this in Live magazine. Inspired by Marianne Faithfull. I'm glad she's doing well after COVID. Years ago, she walked through Paris with the wind rustling through her hair. As she crossed the Champs-Élysées, she never knew the reason why men in sports cars whistled. It took years to learn that testosterone didn't care about her looks or intelligence. Now, past the age of 37, she realized that the nature of men deceives and humiliates. The big bad wolf took Red Riding Hood out to dinner, demanded payment in return. She couldn't forget how the King of Hearts knocked down her house of cards, leaving the Ace of Hearts crying in the rubble. On a humid Brooklyn night, she planned to take a life, but she couldn't tolerate his sinister laughter beating inside her head. She pushed his memory off the roof instead. As sirens passed by, the Ace of Hearts stopped crying. His last text, unread and deleted. Born to Die, Painted Black, inspired by Lana Del Rey and the Rolling Stones. The world we knew was born to die. Homeless brick, frameless windows, doors removed or painted black. We paint ourselves with felt markers, attend our funerals, flee in the slow procession. We feel secure behind tinted windows, too afraid to walk these streets. Outside the tunnel, traffic, a standstill to nowhere. Summer heat burns into black leather seats. Our windows unlock, a filthy hand reaches in for one last squeeze. Sexual free-for-all, a world going mad. Life paints itself black. We die each day, even in our sleep. Send Me an Angel, inspired by the Scorpion song. Wisdom comes with maturity, but it's hard to be wise when your nation caters to avarice and ignorance. You never saw the storm seize the new year, and like the government, life shuts down for a struggle to thrive. Anxiety doesn't believe in social distancing, sends cryptic message between you and your mask. You did your best, prayed for that miracle that fell prey to lies and deceit. Open your eyes. Your angel left for another Zoom call. Stay locked in your quarantine. Watch gray feathers etched in red blow off the fire escape. Have two more. Feeling Good, inspired by Nina Simone. Your sequestered hell lives in the subconscious, confines you inside flesh and bone. You feel uncomfortable, can't handle the stranger from within. Empathy sends another message. You read it, see yourself behind your face. Outside the window, a new day rises. The season's changing. Birds know this, as well as buds on trees and fish in the bay. Dragonflies and butterflies, spontaneous and upbeat. The sun warms the promenade for lovers to walk again. The scent from grass and pine needles brings you closer to nature. By the Brooklyn Bridge, the East River sparkles like stars. You're feeling good again. A gentle breeze taps your face. Life has 9 lives. Enjoy your freedom while it lasts. Last one, Caution, inspired by The Killers. Blacktop beginnings, incognito under mandatory masks. Cautionary tales blow in the wind. By the church door, birthday wishes die at midnight. Cinderella's white dress set aflame. Eyes know what has been, a failure, a frequent flyer, a bad movie with no end. Tarot swords come in 3s, 8s, 9s, and 10s. By the promenade, change blows in the wind. She fights for her sanity, ready to burn down what was and throw caution west of the bay. Seagulls fly around her. She raises her arms to the sun, lips in affirmation. The mask behind her mask drops, floats away in the Gravesend current. Thank you.
All right, you may now unmute yourselves and cheer vociferously. Thanks, Patricia.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
Tired after the day of being in the kitchen cleaning closets and running down swoop shopping and doing all the COVID cleaning and all that. I had to straighten my hair again because it got frizzy in the fog.
Uh-oh.
Very humid. It's very humid.
Yeah, it's terrible.
All right, I'm going to mute you all again now. Excuse me. Thanks again, Patricia. That was great.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bernard.
And George, can you unmute yourself? No, you're still muted. I can only ask you to unmute, strangely enough. Up, there you go. Up, you did it.
Looks like it. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Great.
Okay.
All right, and I just have to say, Patricia name-checked the Scorpions, which is kind of interesting. 'Cause I just finished listening to the podcast Wind of Change, which was all about how the CIA has funded various sorts of pop culture acts over the years. And we have never taken a dime at Sensitive Skin from the CIA, unlike the Paris Review. I've mentioned this before. So CIA, I know you're listening because you listen to everything. I am not above taking money from you. It's bmeisler@venmo.com. You can send it anonymously, that's fine. All right. Anyway, our next reader is George Wallace, and he is the writer-in-residence at the Walt Whitman Birthplace, editor and co-editor of Great Weather for Media and Poetry, and author of, my goodness, 37 chapbooks of poetry, winner of the, I'm not going to get this right, winner of the Ditet Inamet laureateship from Titova, Macedonia in 2017, and the Orpheus Prize from Plovdiv, Bulgaria in 2018. He travels worldwide from his base in New York City to share his work. And here he is, George Wallace. Take it away, George.
Thank you, Bernard. Nice to hear Peter. Nice to hear you, Patricia. All you out there, I can only see my face right now. I think that's the way to go on this. I have 4 poems I think will take my time that I'll read for you today. They're all written in the past couple of days. The first one is after Rilke, the German poet Rilke. He talked about dragons being, in fact, princesses who were waiting for us to be brave and courageous and beautiful finally one time in our lives. So this is after Rilke, and it's called In the Dark Days, Rilke's Dragon. These days have not been the kindest. This trouble in the land, the restlessness has returned, and the despair which comes when women and men are deprived by fate or government of what it was made them feel joyful in their nation, confident in themselves, having lived so well so long as we have. Hope has been stripped from them. How soon, how plumb soon they forget life is not easy, nor was it meant to be. Our trials are our proofs, and how we face them, testament to how great, how beautiful we were, or are, or ever could be. Therefore, welcome great sadnesses, embrace the dark days. What we make of them, not our otherwise meaningless lives, are our history. Now have courage. Now have grace. This is the time the gods have given us to reveal their presence inside us. For the gods do not exist except in the manner by which we live our lives. We're the proof and the substance of their existence. So rip away the mask of fear, people. Move toward danger as you would towards opportunity, with caution, but fearlessly. And tackle what's left of the great troubles standing tall before you, like Rilke's dragon. And of course, that's not the mask, for COVID-19. It's the mask of fear. Rip away the mask of fear. Second poem is called If I to My Devil and You to Your Dream. Perfect for this time of day in New York. There's something covert about the dusk closing in. Before the gathering light can put its final signature on the day. Then I go weightless, as in maple seeds that helicopter out of the thicket. See, there's one on your shoulder now. Nature rushes home from the arms of man. a guilty lover, and you and I not quite ready to retreat into kitchen night, to kitchen light. Join me then in the stealth of my age, thief to time, jealous of its going, and the brown coat apparitions that flicker like torches through the underbrush, material witnesses to the immaterial. I only mean to say dear, not dervishes. I to my devil, you to your dream. The smaller I grow, the closer I come to the blue, dark being that lives in the tops of trees. This third poem is for Lorna Breen. She was an ER doctor in New York City, came up from South Carolina, to work in the hospitals here in New York, and contracted COVID and went back home to recuperate, and never was able to come back, and committed suicide. And the stress and the pressure of her work. It's a poem. She's also a cellist. Her name was Lorna Breen, Breen. If only I could play Fauré's elegy like Lorna Breen. This poem is for Lorna Breen and the strength of her compassion and the unspoken depths of her wounds. Dr. Lorna Breen, age 49, chief of emergency medicine at New York Presbyterian, Allen, who loved playing cello and snowboarding and posted pictures of it on Facebook, who was at the center of it all, the impossible situation come horribly true in the streets and hospitals of New York City, the great pandemic of 2020. 2,000 inpatients piled up in every bed behind every hospital door in New York. Ambulances idling 3 bodies deep in the parking lot, dead on arrival, and nobody else to deal with it but those who took an oath to do so. The rest of us in town ordered to avoid all contact with death. This poem for Lorna Breen. At the limits of her endurance when the virus took her. Sick with it first, and then she recovered just enough to go back to work. And she tried to do her job, quote, she tried to do her job and it killed her, unquote, said her dad, also a doctor back in Charlottesville, Virginia. And for every doctor, every nurse, and emergency worker in New York City, all day and all night at the center of the storm, how to stand at the window at 7 p.m. and offer applause and then return to the silence of our rooms when day after goddamn day they get up and they get out of their own grim beds and they throw themselves back into the thick of it. Yes, how do I ever say again, avoid it like the plague? Stupid, how can I ever use that cliche again? Most of all, this poem, Lorna Breen, 49, who loved to play cello and saved other people's lives. Lorna Breen, who took her own life after saving many others, who did herself and her family proud, who stood side by side with her colleagues. No place to hide from the terrible witness, offering all the strength in her all too human body, in aid and comfort to the dead and the dying, until there was just no more to give. Lorna Breen. And I'll conclude with this poem. We were sailors once. savvy to a sailor's line, paid in the emperor's coin, and we rubbed the bastard's nose flat as thumbs. In hellholes, here to Alexandria, on whores, on Spanish wine, on cheap lodging, and stayed safely on the established trade routes mainly. Beyond that lay dragons and the skin trade, though we were not averse to exotic circumstance. And in fact, in the bulk of the crew had recently spent 6 years stranded on an island due to no wind, bad practices on the part of the company that kept us in tow. 6 years. While our so-called captain rotted in a local jail, though it wasn't half bad to be let to wander about, let to learn the customs, wear the clothing, was a superior cloth to our own, and marry their women, until the winds picked up and the captain was set free, and a few of us decided on a foray inland for keepsakes and plunder. So into the unknown lands we went, but got ourselves chased out on our knees. A people much like our own, warlike and demented. Too much gold, not enough prayer. The gods gave up on them and went back into the mountains from whence they came. Being worshipped by a people too much like themselves is always a drag for a god. Yes, back to the mountains where they returned to their older habitats and godly ways before the advent of man, that is, principally the manufacture of an elixir gathered from local flowers by bees, mixed with bark and spices, a brew quite delicious and intoxicating, toxic to men, but sweeter to the tongue of the gods than prayer. Thank you all.
Wow. That was great, George.
Thank you, Bernard.
And you guys know the drill. Unmute. An applause.
All right,
Epic.
George. Woo!
What a great reading. And
George,
thank you.
amazing.
Thank you. It was,
Yeah, thanks to everybody. That was really
Peter, you were
terrific.
great.
Peter,
George, oh my
Patty,
God.
George,
You guys were great too. Thank you for reading with me. I enjoyed it very much.
I'm honored, really honored. I mean,
I
two
like the
two
longer
giants. I
poem
mean,
a
my
lot.
God, me. Thank you.
That's
Nice
great.
stuff. Yay.
right.
Yay, us, right?
Woo.
Oh, Carrie, hi.
All right.
Hey,
I'm going to mute you
Linda.
all again.
Hi.
I'm going to mute you all again just for a second.
Am I muted or what?
Now you are. The power I have. I'm drunk with power. Thanks again, everybody. That was great. As usual, this reading will be posted on YouTube in the next couple of days. SensitiveSkinTV, one word, or of course, you can always look up Beer Virus Reading and you can watch this again and again and again. Or else maybe you're watching it on YouTube right now in the future. Maybe you're watching this in the 23rd century and we're all dead. Think about that for a second. How's that for mind-blowing? Wow. All right. Come back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. We have a terrific lineup. Bill Considine, Maggie Debris, and Andre Kudresko. And yeah, you can all unmute yourselves now and talk amongst yourselves. All right. Good night.
Wow.